Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking about pitchers and catchers reporting to Glendale, Arizona. Baseball is back at Camelback Ranch. We'll talk about Chris Getz's comments to open up the 2025 season. We'll talk about the newest White Sox, Michael A. Taylor, next here on the CHGO White Sox Podcast. Welcome into CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. It probably should be Studio A because of Michael A. Taylor. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, being produced today by Joey Christopoulos. On today's show, we'll be talking about pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training for the Chicago White Sox to start the 2025 season. We'll talk about the signing of Michael A. Taylor, and we'll discuss some of the battles that are going on in camp that Chris Getz has alluded to. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Tonight, a very important show. There's no Blackhawks show going on, but there is the four nations facing off against each other. We got USA hockey coverage with Jay, Mario, and Greg. So make sure that you are subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel and staying tuned for our hockey coverage later tonight. We also have a Bull show that's going out at 5:30 today, and there's a show tomorrow that's going out, and you also got a Bears show, so a ton of content here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Let's get into some Chris Getz chatter. Also, what's up to the chat? Fat Hipster, AO, Jim Cook, happy birthday. Let's get into some Chris Getz talk. I think the biggest thing that people started to sound the alarms on when Michael A. Taylor was signed for 1 year, $1.95 million, was that this must meant that Luis Robert Jr. was moments, not seconds, from being traded. Here is what Chris Getz had to say when asked about Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation he's going to be our opening day center fielder. He's had a really productive offseason, and we've got to find ways to keep him on the field. And we know what he's capable of doing when he's healthy. And so, we look forward to handling him in a way that he can be on the opening day roster and be the productive player that we're accustomed to seeing.
So there you go. Opening day roster. I think that's obviously the biggest thing that we wanted to hear. And Chris Getz doing what every White Sox fan has been doing with Luis Robert Jr., crossing his fingers and hoping he stays healthy. I don't think that a market's going to drum up or appear for Luis Robert Jr. It seemed like the Cease thing was always, will Baltimore do it or will they not? And then it obviously led to San Diego being who San Diego is and being aggressive. But now with Seidler being passed away and him not being the owner of that team anymore, even though they've still been aggressive with the Nick Pivetta signing. They just signed Kyle Hart, too, who I knew someone wanted for the White Sox. But I don't know if they're going to be that aggressive and going out and adding $15 million of payroll. It seems like Luis Robert Jr. has to rebuild his value to get it to a point where the White Sox are going to trade him. So that means all the people that were like, oh, Michael A. Taylor means that Luis Robert Jr. is getting signed. Not so fast, my friend, because Michael A. Taylor is here on a major league deal, 1 year, $1.95 million. But as you just heard from Chris Getz, they expect Luis Robert Jr. to be here on opening day. They expect Luis Robert Jr. to be their starting center fielder. I don't think that Getz said that specifically, but again, what is the point of having Luis Robert Jr. be your DH? Obviously, if he bounces back and hits well enough, that's going to be a great sign. But the whole point of Luis Robert Jr. is that he's Cuban Mike Trout, is that he can do it in the field, that he can do it on the bases, that he can do it at the plate when healthy. I have no idea why the White Sox would go out and actively tank the value even more for Luis Robert Jr. The best place for him to play this first couple of months is in center field. So the Michael A. Taylor signing does not signal that the White Sox are trading Luis Robert Jr., and I still expect him to be a White Sox come opening day. Now, what does the Michael A. Taylor signing mean? And I think Josh Nelson hit it right on the head. He was the first one that I saw tweet it, so I'll give him credit because I'm pretty much just stealing his idea. It seems like the White Sox are just not going to play Andrew Benintendi in the field anymore. I'm just so happy to see that. I'm so thrilled that we will never have to watch Andrew Benintendi in left field again. Maybe I shouldn't say again, but it seems like Chris Getz is talking a lot about this team winning a little bit more. He talked about that last year, and he talked about that improvement coming via defense. I think we know very well that the worst defender on the White Sox right now is Andrew Benintendi. You could take him off, have him be a left-handed masher if you want at the DH position. You can go put Taylor, who's a defensive stud, in left field. You can have Robert man down center until he's traded, and then you can have Taylor move over to center if Robert is traded. And then in right field, you can have some sort of version of Tauchman or Slater. I actually think, now that I'm saying it, I need to correct myself. Taylor has the strongest arm of Slater, Tauchman, and Taylor. So I think Taylor probably ends up going to right field, and then you have Tauchman and Slater splitting in left field. It's minutia, but important minutia for a team that just lost 121 games. So I think Josh is right. I think you're going to see Benny mainly as a designated hitter. Venable did speak on the designated hitter spot and basically said that there is no true designated hitter on this team, which I'm thrilled to hear, because when you look at this roster, who would be the designated hitter? I don't think that you could have any of these guys play their position and they hit a baseball, let alone designate one guy to only do that. He said, just very similar, this is from Scott Merkin, that the team won't have a set individual designated hitter, and that we're not going to have someone designated for that role. We're going to use it to give guys their day off on the feet to be able to match up defensively and kind of leave that open as a way to do all those things. I think with the current roster, with no JD Martinez-like player, I think it makes sense for them to just, if, Robert needs a day off in center field, you could have Taylor play center field. You could have Tauchman in left and Slater in right. Boom. But if, Robert's feeling fine and healthy, you can obviously have him play center field. And then maybe that's a way to get Ramos or Vargas. We've been talking about them. If Ramos is on the opening day roster, obviously him and Vargas both can't play third base at the same time. So that would give an opportunity for Ramos or Vargas, whoever's not in the field, to get some opportunity there. And again, what's up to the chat? Shout out to Husky Bardo. Shout out to Jim and the Fat Hipster saying, Schultz was moved to the 60-day IL. Will Kai Busch be moved there soon? That would open up one more 40-man spot. Yes. So right now with Schultz, I think they're at 40 total. So then Busch would give them 39 on the IL. I don't understand why Busch hasn't been moved to the IL yet, but also I don't think there's a move made to, a pressing move to be to set that into motion. So Busch will be that next move. He has not been officially added to the IL, so they will have one spot open on whatever they decide to do that. I think, again, I've been talking about them as bottom feeders of the Mariana Trench, and they waited for Michael A. Taylor to get bored and, just wanted to be on some baseball team this year, and he finally fell to him, and he got him for 1.95. I had Michael A. Taylor part of my offseason project plan, not to pat myself on the back too much, but I said 1 year, $3 million. So I think you're pretty much just seeing the time out on the market dry up Michael A. Taylor's value, and that's why you're getting him for a pretty decent value. I mean, under $2 million, I think it's a smart signing there for our guy Michael A. Taylor. So I think it makes sense on where Getz has started to build out this team, and we'll see what other moves happen next. Because to that, the Fat Hipster, I think they could likely add another bullpen piece. Maybe there is a veteran reliever that thinks that they could contribute to a World Series team, and getting to that team is through the White Sox, and a team that just needs anyone that can really shut down a team in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. You look at their current bullpen, Frazier Eller, Jared Schuster, Cam Boozer, those are the lefties. Then Gus Varland, Baroa, Shane Smith, Steven Wilson, and Justin Anderson. I should remove Wilson because he's not technically on the 26-man anymore, but he did clear waivers, and he is in Charlotte. So it's a possibility Wilson ends up in the bullpen, but that is a current open spot right now. So I think there is one more relief spot that could possibly be that, and maybe that's what Busch's 40-man spot turns it out to be once they move him over to the IL. All right, let's get into some more Chris Getz talk. Getz spoke about the challenge of being a part of the 2025 Chicago White Sox, and he talked what I thought was very interesting about Will Venable and the reason why someone like Will Venable would come to the 2025 Chicago White Sox. Here is Chris Getz.
Example is just going through the hiring process, and going after the best talent that we can. Will's a prime example of this, where, okay, we obviously need to show individuals what our organization actually looks like and where it's going. And the thing is, in professional sports, there's so many individuals that want to take on a challenge, because if you get it right, it's going to be the most rewarding, probably, experience of your career. And I think all of us view that. So to be able to overcome what we did last year in these coming years is a great opportunity for so many different people, and myself included.
It's the opportunity, and it's the opportunity to put your stamp on something. This is the worst baseball team ever, meaning there's no true expectations. But also, wow, did you see what Will Venable did? Did you see what Chris Getz did? Did you see what Brian Bannister did? They turned around the 121-loss White Sox into a team 4 years from now, ended up winning the AL Central. Wow, amazing. Like, if they're able just to be at 110 losses, I think most Sox fans will take that. That's an 11 win improvement. Woohoo! We'll take that. It's really all only up from here. I think you put uphill battle on the thumbnail, Joey. It's only up from here for the White Sox. So it makes sense, again, at the end of the day, if Will Venable was worried about taking the Mets job or Guardians job, it's because there's a ton of expectations on those teams. This is still a major league club with, average major league payroll. When they're good, they're usually around 15 to, closing in on that top 10. So, it's a place you could win at. And then, again, if you're really looking at the full Major League Baseball scope, I don't think the White Sox are worse than the Marlins. I don't think the White Sox are worse than the Rockies, and I don't think the White Sox are worse than the Angels. I think those three teams have far less direction than the White Sox. Are the White Sox lower on the totem pole? Absolutely. But I think it's a lot easier to jump those teams on the totem pole, and I think it's going to be, again, up from here, where I think the Angels, the bottom, can completely fall out on that organization. The Rockies really don't have any direction, rather than, let's be the biggest bar in Colorado. And then finally, with Miami, it seems like they're trying to figure out a direction, but they just have less money than the White Sox. So I think, again, this isn't the worst team or worst situation you could be in if you are Chris Getz, Will Venable, and the White Sox organization. We are closing in on a break. I do want to go to the comments, and the Fat Hipster saying Iglesias as shortstop. One thing that Chris Getz has touted heavily so far through spring training is the idea of competition at these positions. I don't think shortstop will be one of those positions. I think, at least for bringing in a veteran. Because right now at catcher you have Matt Tice, Omar Narvaez, Corey Lee, and then if you want to throw in Teal and Caro, you can. I don't think Teal will make it on the Major League roster. I think it's very, 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 very 95% likely Teal is either in Charlotte or Birmingham. I would probably put 55% that Caro is in Charlotte and not at the Major League level. And then you're really just deciding on what you want to do with Tice, Narvaez, and Lee. First base, pretty locked down with Vaughn. Second base, same thing with Rojas. He got Major League money. He got $3.5 million. I think he's going to be your second baseman. Shortstop, I don't think Iglesias makes sense. Why would you want to go out and get a 35, 36-year-old shortstop who's pretty much done? I think, especially with a team that's looking to lose 110, and it seems like most of the fielding's filled out. I don't think Vargas is a good fielding third baseman, but oh well. Rojas can do fine at second base. Vaughn's pretty iffy. McKinven should be able to recalibrate the catching position, so maybe it'll be a little bit different looking than what it was in 2024. But the outfield seems like they can play defense. Taylor, we'll get to his fielding run value in just a second, but he's a very, very good defensive fielder. We know Robert, when healthy, very, very good defensive fielder, and we saw how good Dominic Fletcher was in right field playing next to Luis Robert Jr. I think Tauchman and Slater, who have been above average fielders before, will continue that. So I think the biggest thing for the Fat Hipster bringing up Iglesias, it's going to be costing them money, which I don't think they're looking to spend that much more. If they're able to spend under $2 million, sure. But I think shortstop is the one place where they're just going to let the kids play. And that's why they're even considering Colson Montgomery. I don't think that they're even entertaining the idea of a veteran. They can either play Mydroth there, they could play Baldwin there, they can play Montgomery there, and even if they wanted to, if all else fails with those three, they could still run back Jacob Amaya, or I think it's actually just Jake Amaya now, and they could do that. I don't think it'd be as good as Jose Iglesias, but maybe Amaya can be controllable for a couple of years where Iglesias is just a one year deal. So we're going to take a break from the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about Michael A. Taylor, and we got some more Chris Getz cuts. But first, we want to let you know about our friends over at ComEd. Our friends over at ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient. And if you didn't know ComEd did that, the energy efficiency program can help find businesses up to 35% in energy savings. And all businesses have to do is head over to ComEd.com/biz for a free facility assessment. If you don't know, if you haven't done it yet, ComEd.com/biz for a free facility assessment to get 35% off, 35% up into energy savings. If you forgot the website, it's down there on the Cryon, the lower third, ComEd.com/biz, 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 ComEd.com/biz. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customer's energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Empire. Oh, no. I don't have my Empire guy. He's usually behind me. Anyways, with Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire cannot be beaten on their quality, service, and speed. That's why competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need. They're going to keep shopping for floors simple. You're not an expert. Empire is. They've curated and exhaustively combed through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles for your home. And you can check out those styles with our virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. All right. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. It's pop. I don't know why I said water. Leonard saying, if the Sox get to 39 and the Rockies get to 38 wins, is that not rock bottom? Boo. Do we have a boo sound effect? Joey? Nothing? All right. It's got to be quicker than this. All right. Never mind. I would boo Leonard for that one because it would technically be rock bottom. ROX bottom if the White Sox had one more win. All right, let's get into Chris Getz. The other thing that I thought was interesting was somebody asked, and I didn't recognize the voice. That's why I say somebody. If I knew it was Bruce, I would say it was Bruce. But somebody asked, what are you going to change about spring trainings? Or is there anything that you have noticed in the past that were going wrong at spring trainings, and what are you looking to change now in 2025 with spring training?
Looking to find ways to put your team in a position to have success, and we've got some ideas to do that this spring training. To speak about past spring trainings, you know, every spring training is different based on the makeup of the roster and the opportunities on the club. We know that we've got a lot of opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of competition. So, health is a big part of going into the season. So we want to be very, mindful and respectful for player health. At some point we've got to get to a phase in spring training where it's going out there and we're executing. You expect to get the job done because that's what we're set out to do in professional sports.
I thought the fact that he was so adamant about staying healthy was obviously interesting. That's obviously been the White Sox, what's it called? Sore thumb. I don't know. Like that's been their biggest. Come on, Joey.
What?
Throw out anything.
Modus
Achilles heel.
operandi?
No, Achilles heel. It's their Death Star hole. What's that called?
The Death Star hole?
Well, right, like they overlooked something. Oh wow, you just shoot one.
Oh, blind spot.
There you go. Jesus, you're acting like I'm crazy. I couldn't think.
The Death
What are you
Star
doing?
hole.
Yeah. You know what? That led you down. Bugaboo. That also works, Leonard. Thank you. At least someone's brain works today. One of the biggest bugaboo has been keeping guys healthy. And I feel like the one thing that sticks out from what Getz is consistently saying is opportunity and competition. I don't think Chris Getz is losing sleep on who's making the 26-man roster. If someone comes out and has a horrible spring, I could see them getting cut. I wouldn't say that if Andrew Vaughn goes out there and just looks terrible, like sub 200 average, isn't walking, isn't driving the ball, I wouldn't be surprised. Or I wouldn't be surprised if they considered cutting Andrew Vaughn. I would be surprised if they ultimately cut that $5 million and didn't see what he did at all. But even by April, if Andrew Vaughn's not it and has a bad spring training, would you be shocked if Chris Getz got rid of Andrew Vaughn? He's trying to see if these guys are working, and I think they have a pretty good idea of who Andrew Vaughn is already. If it doesn't work out, I wouldn't be surprised if he just cut it loose. Again, this is all about opportunity and competition, and if someone earns it, if someone takes that opportunity, wins that competition, and actually earns the spot, why protect somebody? I mean, the only person that I think you need to protect are the pitchers in the rotation, but that's likely going to happen. And the only way like Cannon or Martin falls off if they're actually bad. But, you're not – Robert's gone. Good is gone already. Vaughn is pretty much on his last legs. There's nobody that needs to hit. I was even listening to Keith Law with Sox Machine earlier. Basically, the discussion was, if Vargas isn't hitting by June, you can just let him go. And that seems pretty, surprising because that was such a big trade for them last year, getting Vargas, trading out Fetty. But I'm with them. Like, if you don't see it and you see more in Brian Ramos, give Ramos all that opportunity. So I think that there could be some surprises coming out of spring training. We'll see how that really develops as more and more people come into training and the hitters actually show up. But I don't know. The way that he's talking, I wouldn't be surprised if something really shook up spring training as much as you can shake up a team that just lost 121 games. All right, let's get into Michael A. Taylor. Michael A. Taylor will be a fourth outfielder for the Sox. I think Benny will likely, like opening day, be a part of the roster and be in left field, but like I could see Benny only playing the field like twice a week, and then most of the other time he'll be the designated hitter. Michael A. Taylor struggled a bit to find his footing in his first 6 years with Washington. And then there was the pandemic. But since then, he's been a really good baseball player. And not only good, but he's been consistent. 2021, 2.6 B-WAR, 77 OPS plus. 2022, 3.2 B-WAR, 90 OPS plus. 2023, 1.9 B-WAR, 93 OPS plus. 2024, 0.9 B-WAR, 52 OPS plus. That OPS plus, no to Cooper Kupp. This is a baseball show. 2024, obviously the 52 OPS plus sounds horrific, but that's just how good he is at defense. And the thing that really sticks out when you look into his numbers, this is what he does against left-handed pitching, and I think this really kind of decides whether his OPS is going to be close to 100 or not. In 2021, when he had a 77 OPS plus, a 769 OPS against left-handed pitching. 2022, 675 OPS against left-handed pitching. 2023, 914 OPS versus left-handed pitching, and then 2024, 610 OPS plus versus left-handed pitching. He's typically around a 700 hitter, and that against left-handed pitching. And I think, if he is around that, he's going to be putting up at least a WAR for the Sox. This is as consummate? No. We're not really working on, the brain's not really working today. Consummate.
Death Star hole?
Death Star hole. Consummate professional when it comes to fielding. Taylor, since 2021, fielding run value by year. 2021, 23 fielding run value. 2022, 10 fielding run value. 2023, 9 fielding run value. 2024, 11 fielding run value. When you see the red is the red of red on StatCast, someone's doing well. And I think that's the biggest thing that sticks out with Taylor is he hasn't really lost his athleticism in the field. His 80 percentile sprint speed is similar to where it was even when he was a rookie. And this what stuck out to me. He had his biggest burst in his career last year at 1.9. His rookie year was like 1.2. So he's somehow getting a better jump on fly balls in the outfield than he was when he was a rookie. And his feet versus average jump in 2016, it was 2.1. At 2023, it was 2.3. He is still as good as he was, or as athletic as he was when he was a rookie. I am very excited about Michael A. Taylor. I think it's a really decent signing. And Leonard says, bring back Billy Hamilton. Why not? I think Taylor's a better fielder. I don't know if he is as talented as Billy is stealing the base, but I think that he can actually hit, which Billy couldn't do. And the one thing that stuck out, Michael A. Taylor swings a fast bat, 74 miles per hour bat speed over the past 2 seasons. They now even have gone back to 2023 with bat speed. I think it's post All-Star break, but 74 miles per hour bat speed. A fast swing in Major League Baseball is 75 miles per hour. So he is averaging a fast swing. And something that was interesting, his contact rate went up 4% from 2023. It was at 24% to 28% in 2024. So even though the numbers were worse, again, 52 OPS plus, down from a 93 OPS plus, he made more contact. I think it's a bat that could easily bounce back up to a 93 OPS plus. And if he's playing his typical great 10 fielding run value defense, I think the White Sox have done a pretty good job of minimally improving their team. I know it seems ludicrous to hear Chris Getz say, I think we're going to win more games, or I think this team is improved. But if Benny is now just your DH, that's better. He's a terrible, if not the worst fielder in all of baseball. Taylor gives you immediate relief for that. Robert had his worst season of his career. I don't think he'll be that bad again. And right field is instantly better. Fletcher could field, but he couldn't hit. Tauchman and Slater, split between them, can hit and field. So immediately right there, the outfield is improved. Vargas played the worst baseball of his career after being traded from the Dodgers, and it really seemed like he was affected going from the best team ever to the worst team ever. Maybe an offseason has helped him clear his mind, but we'll see, hopefully, fingers crossed, better baseball from the third base position. Shortstop will likely be a downturn just because you're going to have some sort of rookie or under-prepared player at shortstop, but second base should be better. Rojas is fairly decent, and he should be able to at least play, fine professional defense at second. Vaughn, you'll have an answer on fairly quickly. And then at catcher, depending how good McKinven is, I think you're going to have a pretty improved tandem. Whether it is Teal, Tice, or Narvaez, we know all of those guys are better than Martin Maldonado. So Martin Maldonado instantly won't be playing like 70 games for the White Sox, and that's a huge win. So am I thinking the White Sox are going to be closing in on this 62 and 100 projection that Pacoda threw out there? Definitely not. But I think this team is probably going to go somewhere from like 104 to 110. And I would probably put it, what's 162 minus 106?
It's 56.
I don't think that's right. 162 minus 106.
Minus 106 is 56.
Is that true?
162 minus 106?
Yeah, it's 56. So I think they're going to go 56 and 106. Thanks, Joey, for the on-the-fly math. I appreciate that. But yeah, I feel like it's a better spot than they were at last year, because the biggest thing with last year was they were not saying the word rebuild. They were not saying we need to flip this and we need to gut this and figure this out and strip it down to the studs like they have been doing. It seems like they're at least more aware of how bad they are. And it seems like they are going to try to improve the team when they see spots. Like, again, I think Taylor was signed because they realized he's cheaper than market value. He can give them good defense. And the worst thing that happens is Benny just plays less defense. And that, I think, honestly, just leads to him getting hurt less. So that way, if he does end up hitting like he did in the back half of last year, maybe he'll end up being tradable. I don't think so. Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll be back next week for more spring training coverage. We are here on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 4 p.m. here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Appreciate our guy Joey Christopoulos for producing the show. And also, I don't really want to let a guy named Will Anderson go with his question unanswered. So let's say answer Will Anderson saying, how are Teal and Caro going to work? I don't know exactly, Will. We haven't got a definitive answer from either the GM or the coach. What I've thrown out, and I think Keith Law was throwing it out, maybe I misheard him, but I think Caro showed that he can handle AAA pitching from a hitting perspective. So I'm fine with Caro starting off as the AAA catcher. And because these guys can't catch on the same day, I'm fine if Teal starts off in AA at Birmingham, and you give Teal Birmingham, you give Caro Charlotte, thinking that Caro by maybe May, maybe even June, will be up at the big leagues. And then once he goes up, you can move Teal up. So I think it's going to be a slow process, but I'm fine with it being slow because this team is going to be bad, and make sure that these guys are fully ready to come up and attack like they should be able to. Teal didn't do great in AAA last year, so again, I'm fine with him. Sort of like what they should have done with Montgomery was have him go from to AA to AAA within that year and kind of work his way up rather than being granted a AAA option. And also, too, if Narvaez and Tice make the team, that could possibly leave Corey Lee in Charlotte as well. So you could possibly see Corey Lee and Caro in Charlotte and then Teal down in AA. But we'll have to see. Fat Hipster is right. I will be out in Arizona just later this weekend.
We're rooting for you. We're all rooting for you.
Signed a minor league deal with the Angels. Non-roster invite. So we got to really loosen up this shoulder here, and we'll see if it falls off.
I was going to say, what position? What position did you sign for? Or are you doing the Ohtani?
Oh, I'm doing the Ohtani.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, you really... It's like positionless basketball, but it's honestly, it's more like... It's more like...
It's hard to put you in a box of what you're going to bring.
Well, there's just so much talent. There's just so much talent. There's so much athleticism. There's so much charisma, and the ego is off the charts. So honestly, like, will their doors be wide enough to fit my ego in? Yeah, we'll see. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll be back on Monday at 4 p.m. to talk more Chicago White Sox spring training. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.